Hey everyone, it's Elizabeth here. So today I'm just going to do a relationship video. Let's see, relationship video number 8 in the with the topic of the need for the rise in conscious dating. So I've been single now for technically 14 months. This advice is coming from somebody who is divorced, who has spent 2018 somewhat in the modern dating world. I've never done dating apps. I've just, met people naturally who've approached me and expressed interest. And it's been one interesting journey. So I have come to see, not only through my personal experience of modern dating, but with my friends, my clients, and my students, there is a massive problem in the modern dating world. I think I need to do a separate video on this, but I do think a lot of things today are socially engineered. We live in a world, especially out here in Seattle and the West Coast, of affluency, and it tends to attract a lot of people who are freedom seekers because a lot of people out here are outdoorsy. They're affluent from the tech culture. So you have this freedom and this need to do, or this freedom to be able to do, I guess anyone, but to do what you want. And a lot of people who are avid chronic travelers and outdoorsmen or outdoorswomen are constantly seeking freedom, and it's really hard for them to settle down, especially because once they find that somebody starts expressing interest in them, they tend to freak out because they're going to lose the freedom of their schedule and things like that. So I do think this is a millennial shift in our generation, and I know this is happening too in the older generations as well. So this is a shift not only within the millennial generation, because our lives are a lot easier than our ancestors, but also just with the shift in general of technology. So I think we're living in an IKEA culture, and what I mean by that is that everything is cheaply made and it's very easily disposable. So for example, I could go out and buy a $50 IKEA coffee table, use it for 1 or 2 years, and then chuck it and throw it away. A lot of people who spend time, say, on a handmade wooden coffee table that's $800, you're going to treat that coffee table with as much precious care and tender love as possible because you invested a lot of money with it. If you look at something like cell phones today, how many people are trying to actually take care of their cell phones a little bit better? You buy the proper case for it, you buy the Apple Care. It's because these devices are between $800 and $1,300. It's a lot of money, so you want to take care of it. So the thing today, what's happening is that we have so much exposure to so many different people, and a lot of people have lost their moral compass and their values, coupled with this rise in self-centeredness and selfishness. It's this me generation, this I. And so we're all running around with this you do you and this, worry about yourself, which is very necessary because the reality of today is we're structuring a society that is we have to depend on ourselves, because it's not like the olden days where you can knock on the neighbor's door and be like, hey, do you have like a tomato that I can use or whatever, or like, hey, blah blah blah. Like some of that still exists, but not as much as before. With the rise of independence, it was common in my mother's generation to live with their parents once they get older. And now, with my generation, how common is that to have like your mother or father or grandparent live with you? Like a lot of millennials aren't really open to that because it takes away from their freedom. So we live in this IKEA culture where things are disposable, and people are disposable just like a wrapper from a piece of candy. You enjoy the sugar and all the goodness that's in the candy, and you just kind of chuck the wrapper, and then the experience is gone. It's very consumptive, and that is also related to our highly consumptive culture with consumerism and this like hoarding of a bunch of stuff in our life. So between the exposure that we have to people and just how we're careless with individuals, we're causing so much emotional damage, not only to ourselves, but to other people. And I I hope that there is a rise in conscious dating. I don't like using the word should, because should is a word that really gets a lot of people in trouble. So I think you see that a lot in politics. It's like, well, you should be kind. Well, the reality is not everybody's kind, because people are not as wise or as open-minded or as conscious as other people. So the word should be used very lightly. But my advice is, for anybody who is going into this modern dating world, whether you're meeting somebody naturally or through online, or whether you're expressing kind of interest in rekindling a connection with an old friend or a flame, you are taking that person's emotions into your hand. I've had this happen in 2018 where men would do really nice things for me. They would also do really nice things for other girls. And that tends to borderline cross a boundary between being a friend and somebody who is expressing interest in you. So that message can be highly misinterpreted. And so you tend to get, men who do a lot of nice things for women. It's like, eventually that girl might try to have, or that girl may have some form of attraction to you because you're doing sweet, nice things, and that's generally what quality women are attracted to. Nice guys who do sweet, thoughtful, and caring things. That's not uncommon. But the problem today is people aren't communicating or talking, and they're not talking about what they're looking for, or they're not being upfront with their intentions. Maybe their intention is just to be sweet and nice so they can get you into bed, or maybe they're really being sweet and nice because that's who they are, but they're doing that for everybody, or they're being sweet and nice because they have interest in you. The problem is people aren't communicating because people get freaked out. You have to get at some point of involvement in your soul and in your own personal development to not get overly freaked out or disappointed when somebody brings up their intentions or their wants or their needs in life. Now, this is a delicate balance. Like, you're not going to do this the first 1 or 2 times that you meet, but eventually down the road, once it gets like 8 to 12 weeks and you're kind of like sitting in the gray zone, like, what's happening here? Like, it does, you are taking someone else's emotions into your hands. And I think this is such a problem because it's like, you can do sweet and nice things to a girl and then completely drop off the radar. And then the girl's sitting here like, oh my God, what did I do? Then she gets into her head in a tailspin or an anxiety attack because she's like overanalyzing everything she's done. This ghosting culture has done so much damage on people that the more people ghost other people, they're going into the next relationship in fear or with so many like protective boundaries over their heart and their gut because they're afraid of getting hurt again, or they're afraid of getting shitted on. And I think in human history, a lot of women have feared being used for sex. And that definitely happens a lot today because we have entered this animalistic lifestyle where people's minds are polluted with pornography and the stuff from the media, coupled with the online dating apps where it's like this instant attraction where it's like, I gotta have him or her, to where it's not coming from the sweet, beautiful side or like the romantic kind of poetic side of the romance of like the dance between a man and a woman, like being two butterflies spiraling in the air. So like that kind of era is gone, unfortunately. But the more you kind of plow through life with your own selfish agenda, you're hurting other people, and those other people are going to hurt and affect other people or wreck and ruin other people's relationships. It's a ripple effect. The more you hurt people, the more people in the world are going to get hurt. The more you touch people with your kindness, the more kindness and conscious relationships can grow and blossom in this world. If you go into dating, you kind of have to have somewhat low expectations to realize that there's a 50-50 chance that this might not work out. Or it might work out, and the wants and the needs can be met on both people's partners. It's important to be on the same wavelength. And so a lot of people especially men, they don't realize that women respect honest men. That is where a man's strength is very, very attractive. It's just being upfront and honest. When guys kind of crap out because they don't want to hurt another girl's feelings, it's like women lose respect right away for a guy. And that in itself is hurting the male gender species even more, which because it's like women are sick of this crap. And that's why feminism is on the rise and women are becoming more like men and men are becoming more like women and sensitive. It's because it's this breakdown of this socially engineered culture, but it's this lack of conscious dating and to just not be hyper aware of what your actions are to another human. So if you're a guy and you're blowing up a girl's phone and then all of a sudden you kind of disappear, no communication is a form of communication. So it's like, you know, some of that's very cowardly and some of it we just have to build enough grit up in our gut and our heart to realize that this is just what's happening today. But I highly encourage, if you're going into dating, to just go into it, I would say, with a little more consciousness. Sorry, my cats are fighting in the background. To go into it with a little more consciousness, to know that you are holding someone else's emotions, their feelings, and their heart in the palm of your hand. And you have two options: to either destroy or ghost or throw their emotions and whatever underneath the rug or down the toilet or into a garbage can, or you can handle it with some form of maturity and tender love and care to realize, hey, even if this doesn't work out, you can still be honest with the person. And the more honest you are and the more you communicate, it at least helps them set themselves up for a better future in dating, because now they understand what it's like to be a little bit more open and honest with communication. So this is all a ripple effect. So these are some thoughts that I have. If you can, please subscribe below. You can support me on Patreon or help me out by liking, sharing, subscribing to this channel. If you have any thoughts or questions, please comment below. I'd love to keep this conversation going. All right, thank you. Bye.